Today is July 8th, and the last time I did a video was June 29th, and I felt like I needed a little bit of a break. Kind of thought it'd be a little longer than it ended up being. Although I guess I haven't successfully done a video yet, so we'll see. I did a video yesterday that was like over an hour long, and then I don't like it. I don't know why, just wasn't feeling it, so I just deleted it. So then I was at home a little bit ago in the backyard and started one. Got like 13 minutes in, got interrupted. And I know where I am at right now, that literally everything that happens has a purpose behind it. Whether it's just to kick me in the butt one way or another on doing something, whatever, it has a purpose. And you know, I was mentioned briefly in the video that I won't be posting because I don't know how to go back and like add it on or whatever. I'm very basic at this stupid technology thing, right? So basic I will go. Anyway, so till I figure out those things or find people to help that know those things and can teach me, I shall be, frazzled. That's what I'll be. So yeah, I take a break. And as I mentioned in the video that I won't be posting because I got cut off, I feel like the changes that I have been making in the past year, it's like there's a phase of growth, and then there's a phase of trying to ground it in and anchor that into my new reality. And being the person that I know I'm shifting into. So, you know, when I started, this whole journey, I started with an Instagram live that was less than a minute long, and I cried afterwards because it was terrifying for me to use my voice at any capacity. And I've always known that there was this big hang up on that end. You know, I've always been listening to that voice that has been telling me, speak your truth, use your voice, and not doing it. And so then when I started finally doing it at freaking 40 years old, there was some winding down of the old me that I had just accepted as me for a long time. So I had to come to terms with that, right? And realize that I could do this scary thing that I had always avoided like the plague because it was terrifying. And you know, there was a few days between the live and my first video that I posted on YouTube. And the first one wasn't any good, and it was like scripted and all that fun stuff. And when I deleted all my videos back in the fall to take a break, for this grounding in purpose, I just let that one go completely. And I've mentioned, like, I regret that I did delete everything off, but at the time it was so terrifying for me to consider that this thing might be able to do anything without my supervision. Not that I'm supervising it really well anyway, I'm just at least checking in periodically, adding more, and if something pops up, then paying attention to it. Which I can do that even if I'm not. I don't know. When I took the break in December, if anything would have popped up, like if there would have been any alerts or whatever saying that I had a comment or anything, it probably would have freaked me out quite a bit then. And the first 3 subscribers I had were terrifying for me, because it was very new and I wasn't sure how to adjust. So after I start doing this thing and it starts going one way, then I got to take a break and kind of ground that in and allow, I guess, the 2 spaces to catch up. Like, I'm doing this thing in the physical, but there's a great deal more expansion that's happening at the energetic level because it's stuff that I've always avoided, and because I had big ideas against at earlier points in my life or whatever. Anyway, like when I did the last video, I kind of felt like I don't think I realized necessarily that that was the point that I was at. I just knew that I needed to take a little bit of a break from it. Kind of figured it'd be more than a week, well, a little over a week, but here we are. Yeah. So, frazzled. That's what I am. Frazzled. Okay, so I was taking a break from videos, not worrying about it. And it really started sinking in that I have all this other stuff that I need to do to clear space, like energetically, around me. And there's a lot of clutter. I got more birds than I need. If I could do the whole bird thing all over again, I would have at least 3 less birds. Well, no, 4 less birds, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, there's a lot of nasty dust and everything with birds, and then there's clutter, and then just in general, because, I got this big divorce 5 years ago, and then rolling in on the 5-year divorce anniversary. But there was a lot of stagnating where I didn't get a whole lot of stuff done. When I first came back, like, I made changes, I got rid of a lot of stuff, but at the same time, it was not even a dent that I made in it. So, yeah, my cherry flute. I had to escape the house in a hurry. Anyway, so it's been bothering me a lot more, especially since I haven't been doing the YouTube stuff for a minute. So I was also overwhelmed. It's like, where do I start? There's so much that needs to be done that I just don't know where to start. So, night before last, I went to bed and had this idea that it's like, it would be really easy to, if nothing else, dust off the bookcases, condense where everything is, because I've taken a whole lot of books off of the shelves in the past few months, and I've been driving around with 3 boxes of books in the back of this thing waiting to go to Half Price Books, and I just haven't made it over there yet. Well, haven't been motivated to make it over there yet. So, haven't done that. They've just been going for a ride. But the other day, it was I should reorganize the shelves, clean them, redo the books, put them on there so they're not just haphazard and, stacked really badly and empty shelves, but, all that crap. So I decided to do that yesterday because, once I had a step, then there was no reason I couldn't do it. And then it was really easy to just, hey, get it done. So I had to move the stuff at the foot of my bed so I could reach that bookcase because I'm literally wall-to-wall furniture in my bedroom with barely a walking path. So that's just what it is. So I got the bookshelves done in that room. And I was I got the first one that's up against the wall in the corner at the foot of the bed. I got that one mostly done. I had like one shelf left, and I just had this stack of books that I just needed to put on the shelf. And I just kind of hit this wall moment, and I just stopped and cried. And it's like, what the hell is this all about? And it was like, I was revisiting these books that I have that, when I was in seminary, if we spent $200 on textbooks for classes in the bookstore, then we got $100 scholarship for free books. So I took advantage of it. And I collected a lot of books. Some of them I still have. Some of them are waiting to go elsewhere. Some of them I've donated to my aunt's churches. Whatever. Yeah. But I just got to this point. It's like I just stopped and I cried before I put like these last books on this one shelf. It's like, what is going on? And I think it just kind of set in that tomorrow's my birthday. Tomorrow, I'm going to be 41. And I have nothing to show for it. It's like, what have I done with my life? Made a big hot mess. Didn't do anything useful. It's not that I've had a bad life. It's not that at all. It's just, I have felt stuck more than anything. And it just hit me yesterday that it's like, I feel like I'm at this point in my life and all I've ever done is live for somebody else. And so now that I have the opportunity to try to figure out what life I want to live and who I want to be and all this stuff, I don't really know where to go with it. Because that was never the purpose of how I was raised. I was raised to be codependent, and you're supposed to stick around so when the older generation starts not doing so well, so you're just conveniently there to take over and start shouldering that burden instead. But it nothing about being free and choosing to live any kind of life, and I watched, I think, a Chloe Taylor tarot reading a couple days ago, and she said, if you are surrounded by people who make you feel more fear about branching out and doing other things, you have a cage. It's like, that's my life. That has been my life. And God, I'm so tired of that life. And I know that I am currently in this situation for a very important purpose. And a big part of that is to figure out now how to disconnect when I never learned to do it at any earlier point in my life because that wasn't what we do. And now I'm, I get made to feel like shit because I'm trying to do something different. And No, I don't want to tell anybody about this thing, this whole YouTube thing, or the writing thing. Like, my family knows that my focus is writing. That is the extent of what they know. That is the extent of what I want them to know, because I don't want them in the middle of it. And I feel like, okay, this is why this came up, this whole thing came up. I was doing a video in the backyard, and this time the curtains in the house were open so they could see outside and see that I was out there. I was leaning against a tree and had my back toward the house, and I hear the door, dogs start looking that way. Mind you, I was outside for a crazy long time because I was dragging my feet up, not knowing how to start, not knowing what I wanted to talk about or anything. And then out comes my dad. And I was pissed, honestly, because, okay, you know why? Because the other day when we were all over at my grandparents' house, I went and sat in the same room that he was in, and was in there for probably an hour, and he did not say jack shit to me. Granted, I wasn't going out of my way to talk to him either. I was sitting there doing a puzzle, but I was in the same room. He could have, if there was anything at all he wanted to talk to me about. But he didn't. And he ended up leaving the room before I did. But when, I don't know, I know that it's maybe not fair to be pissed that he got in the way of this thing that he didn't know was even happening, but still, when I am around and it's peaceful, not gonna say anything. See, but that deal on or the other day, I think it was probably the 4th of July, I was over there, and he went in the other room, and then me and my niece were in that room, and I was working on the puzzle, and then she would come and go, and then my grandparents came in the room, and then, eventually people started coming back in the room. But he had been in the room with me for a long time and had not said anything to me, just like I wasn't even there. Then he comes back in the room. He is one of the last people to make it back into that room. And then my grandma turns some political bullshit on TV, and they all know politics come on, I leave. I'm not negotiating with that. That is firm boundary. If you want me around, don't put that shit on. You can watch it when I leave. But, otherwise it just makes me leave faster. So politics comes on. And then, that's right before my dad sits down. And seeing what's on TV, I get up and I leave. And he's like, oh, it's always because I came in the room, blah, blah, blah. It's like, piss off, whatever. I don't care. Just don't even care. Yeah, so that was irritating, right? So maybe it's not fair that I get pissy when they don't know what's going on and I just, they interrupt something. It doesn't matter. It's so frustrating because, the fact that I'm there at all to begin with. And, I I was pissed because I was finally moving in a direction I thought to be favorable on the video end of it, and then it got interrupted, and I was just like, that's it, I'm done. And he comes out there making a smart ass remark about, well, you could sit in my chair right there if you wanted to. It's like, I am aware there's a chair there. I am aware of what chairs are for. If I wanted to sit in the chair, I would sit in the chair. I did not want to sit in the chair. I wanted to sit by the tree, so I sat by the tree. that was no big deal, right? Shouldn't have been, but then I was just irritated because the thing that I'm finally trying to do on my own without my family in the middle of it is getting in the middle, or they're getting in the middle of it. And that's the other thing too, because, okay, because, no, I don't want to tell them about it. I just don't. I've thought about it, but I know as soon as I do, then they're going to want to know what it is, and it's pretty easy to find me, really, if you know the username that I freaking use for anything. The whole Mystic Fuchsia thing came up. No, it's nothing especially, I don't know, whatever. It was something I needed because it was something I came up with because I needed an email address that wasn't linked to or that I hadn't had before, and that wasn't linked to my ex-husband that I was divorcing. So it was something where he wouldn't be able to find me was the big thing. And then it just kind of became this, or it took off on its own little thing, and it's like, that's mysticfuchsia.com is my blog page that I need to be better about updating, but I'll get there. But they know my email address, so they would be able to find it pretty easy. So therefore, I do not want them to know that this is what I'm doing, because then I have to deal with them wanting to watch my videos, because then they just want to be supportive, right? Except for then, if they get in the middle of that, they're going to get really pissy, because a lot of this whole healing process has been venting about the shit that I've gotten into because I've felt stuck in some way in that situation. And I was thinking, after I left the little ice cream shop with my little slushie here, I was thinking about Tyler's funeral. Tyler's funeral, it's all fine and dandy, right? It was at the church, of course. And see, it was weird because I was home with my parents, so why wouldn't I just go with my parents? And even if I hadn't been, I was staying with them at that time because it was the 9 months that I came back trying to disconnect from my ex, that last time before I went back for the last time to make it work. I knew it wasn't going to work. But he had to believe it. Everybody had to believe it. I had to believe it. And it didn't work. But, okay, so I was staying with them during that time frame where Tyler died. And so the funeral, I went with them because it made sense. Why wouldn't I? The high school boyfriend, I passed him at one point, and it's like I just pretty much imploded. And it's like, he was never a bad guy. There's no reason that it should be awkward there, because the really bad decisions I've made in relationships weren't in that relationship. That one I had, okay, not that I had a decent sense of autonomy or anything, but I think it was just the point that, he's still a couple years younger than me, but he's married with, like 2 kids or whatever, got the job that everybody expected he'd get, and blah, 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 doing life and whatever. I was like, what the hell am I doing? I was like, okay, I see people that have lives. What the fuck am I doing? And why is my life not it? And it just makes me think back to, I went to a football game with my mom's youngest sister and her husband and their son back in the fall. And I don't even remember what exactly we were talking about, But something that I said, she was just like, at some point you need to start living your own life, right? And it's like, I do, but I don't know how. I don't know how to get unstuck from all this bullshit that I've in my cage. It's like, I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know. Oh, shit. And I'm getting better at, like, the boundaries and stuff. But then I still, like, every now and then there's something where, like, they just, like, slam right into them. And, and I can tell, I watched another tarot reading, last week or something. I don't know. I don't even remember where I was going with that one, to be honest. What was it she said? Oh. It was either Nordic Light or Kino. But they were talking about, it's like you have an energy going around you, pushing against your boundaries, trying to look for a weak spot so they can get back in and have access again. It's like, that's my life. And that's my life. My fucking cage, y'all. Today was okay. Like, my grandpa had some kind of procedure that my mom and the middle sister went for with them, and I was productive. I hung out with Gracie for a couple hours this morning while my brother had an appointment, and then I went over and cleaned the carpet at my grandma's house like I said I would, and all was fine and well, right? Mom comes home, says she needs to run to the store for my grandparents for something. It's like, well, I'm not doing anything, I'll go. Thinking it'll just be okay, right? So I get in the car, it's like, well, car needs gas. It was still above a quarter of a tank, but at the same time, I know my mom always rides like the top half of the tank, mainly because she doesn't want to. I think she's pumped gas a handful of times in her whole life, and she doesn't want to have to do that. So the rest of us just do that, right? And whatever, it doesn't work. It works. I don't care, And she's looking something up on her phone because, like, we have this Upside app that gives money back, and I said something about my dogs, and they didn't get their walk yet today. And she just, like, goes full bitch and was like, well, she's like, nobody kisses that. I've never seen anybody kiss their dog's ass as much as you do. It's like, I will say, okay, they were with me that whole divorce time. They were, we're trauma bonded. We are. So there is that issue. I know it's not necessarily a healthy thing, but they have given me something outside of myself to motivate me forward at times that I couldn't do it otherwise. So I personally it has been a point of pride for me that the last day my dogs did not get at least a quarter mile of a walk in was May 14th. So that's almost 2 months ago, because me prioritizing doing that with them has helped me prioritize me and doing something for me as well. And I do stuff without them, so it's not like that's the only thing I do. But when I um, when I first moved back here and was basically ready to shut down from everything because the whole divorce thing, they gave me something to keep moving a little bit. And you know, it wasn't much then. Like, I knew that if I did not throw the ball 500 times for Gidget, she was going to drive me absolutely insane. So a lot of it was just throwing the ball for Gidget. Or, you know, whatever else with the other two as that comes up. Granted, they've gotten shortchanged a lot on it just because that damn dog's smart. They all are. But she was one that when I was ready to stop playing, she would find ways to basically reflect back that she knew I was bullshitting her and she would fix it so it wasn't an issue. Like if I told her I couldn't reach something, she started throwing it at me, and like she will throw the frisbee on my foot. She will bring the balls and throw them at me the same way. It's like, what is your excuse now? Suck it up and throw the damn ball. You know, so yes, it's entertaining. It's very annoying at times, but it has been something to keep me moving forward at times I didn't want to. And you know, I mentioned many other times that, you know, when it started sinking in like color frequency stuff and earth signs or like astrological signs stuff, you know, realizing how my dogs have been essentially source protection at a time I couldn't do it for myself, you know, and I'm still not great at it, obviously. Oh my God, but something to keep me moving one way or another at all. Yeah. So irritating. You know, and it doesn't matter what I do during the day. It doesn't matter how much time I spend at home or how much time I spend outside of the house. But as soon as I get home, if somebody's at the table, they're going to want to know where I was. It's like, fucking 40. Why do I need to check in with everything just because I was gone for a while and came back? And I think that's been a big thing, is that they know and have always known that at some point I would get out of there. But fuck, I haven't done it yet. But, you know, like this whole YouTube endeavor. God, okay, you want to watch a real sad video? Good grief. The one I have that was originally posted on 11/17 last year that ended up being the one where I really said I'm just sick of this life and ready for something different, because my dad called me a dumb bitch that day. It's like, fabulous. Yeah. You know, and I will say, when I was irritated, or when he pissed me off earlier, I got up and I went back into the shed. He saw me get in there earlier and take 2 boxes up to the house and put them on the porch. When he showed back up, I got another box down out of the shed, or off the stack in the shed, and was looking through it, and it's like all these diet books. It's like, clearly I don't care about those anymore. I do not give a shit about any of that stuff. It's like, I am finding that as I skate more, I make better decisions for me, just for the sake of I want to feel better, so I'm not just going to ingest all the junk that I was eating previously, because I skate. It's like you skate on some of that stuff, and then you just feel like shit and want to puke, and I don't really want to do that. But I feel like my family has always known that I would be the one eventually to actually break out of the family dynamic as it is in and of itself. And I think that's part of why it's been such a big deal. A lot of this is energetically speaking, because whether they know it or they just have this fear, whatever, it's there, and it's always been this thing. I've always been aware of it, and I've been able to see how I've gotten squashed time and time again throughout my entire life, just because I'm ultimately because they didn't want to deal with their shit, so they didn't do the healing work, so it all fell onto me, except for then the stuff that I could see and know wasn't mine, I was still feeling somehow responsible for, because I could see it and knew it needed help some way or another. I just didn't realize until more recently that just because I can see it and feel it does not mean it is mine to fix. And that is the hardest part. Especially when you come from a long line of people that feel like they're, well, I don't know about that. It's like, because I feel like my mom's, the stuff she's fixed for me in my lifetime has been more in order to lock me down to feel obligated to her in some way. Like that whole, I don't know. My hand is starting to, my pinky's going numb from how I'm holding my phone. It got real stiff a minute ago. Yeah. And one of the cards I pulled earlier, because I have felt all out of whack the past couple of days, and it goes back to, I felt like there was stuck energy from needing to clear space around me in my physical space. So I did the bookcase stuff, and then I realized, or then it just hit me how much I haven't done in my life. I'm 41 and nothing to show for it. And, well, 41 tomorrow. And nothing to show for it. And then I've thinking back to, like, okay, I'm over here at the high school today because I went over to the elementary school down the road from my house, and they're like, all the sports fields were like loaded, and like everything was going over here. Over here they were just doing cross country, and I can park in this parking lot and it's okay. Well, it's the elementary parking lot. Interestingly, the elementary school that I'm at right now is the one that opened up when I was in second grade, where all the bullying began. So that's I was thinking about that recently, with this whole journey. Yeah. But anyway, when I was in high school, the whole drumline thing, well, the thing that my mom was ass deep in the middle of, because she was a good supportive parent, right? And then when we won the big national championship at the end of it, or world championship, even though there was like one group in a different class in the entire thing that wasn't from the States. Yeah. I was trying to suck it up and be the bigger person when we won that. Mind you, being one of the leaders for it And one of the 5 seniors for it, I got to go down for the awards and all that, and we took some good pictures down there and all that fun stuff, right? So when everybody else comes to the floor to congratulate us and all that fun stuff, I was trying to be the bigger person. I was trying to suck it up and get ready to say, thank you for your part in this. And instead, what happened was my mom comes over and says, I deserve this as much as you do. It's like, that is why it was a problem. That is why the over-involvement has been more of an issue than not. Because, I remember sitting in the lunchroom either my junior or senior year and watching her. She was the manager of the high school cafeteria for a while. Watching her with her coworkers and just having this thought of, they seem more high school age than I ever felt. And, my brother and I had this conversation the other day where I was like, do you ever just feel like we're more emotionally mature than our parents? And he was like, sometimes. It's like, that's my whole life. I have felt that my entire fucking life, and that I think is why I felt obligated to try to fix that's an awful noise. Try to fix the stuff that I felt because I thought I was somehow supposed to be responsible for it because I felt it or saw it for what it was. But didn't work out for me so well, did it? 41 tomorrow, not a damn thing to show for it, and just now doing something for me for the sake of my growth and trying to be a healthier and happier human. And I have made a lot of progress this year. I know this. At the same time, it is driving me crazy. Because I'm so ready for something else and I don't know what else to do. I don't know how else to get anywhere or how to get anywhere else and do stuff that becomes lucrative enough to get me out of this place I'm stuck in now. And then here's this other thing that happened. This is some bullshit. And I know that a big part of it is just for the fact, okay, everything has a purpose at this point in time. Everything has always had a purpose. I'm just now more aware of the intentionality of it and finding what it is now. So, my stomach freaking making noise, all these noises now. Okay, what was that thought? Oh yeah, okay. So, this happened when I moved up here and was getting divorced because I had to contact my ex to see about the dental insurance back then because I had a tooth break. Well, I had one, it's right there. Yeah, it kind of broke. It's been broke for a while and I haven't done anything with it. And I was skating the other day and it's like, why does that feel weird? Oh, great, because it broke more and it's awkward and it's like funky colored, so great. This is fabulous. Freaking fantastic. And I know a big part of this is to trigger, those early childhood traumas for when I got made fun of for my teeth all the time. Because, that was something that went into why I could never speak up to other people, because then when I did, they were making fun of me for my teeth, and it's like, fuck you. So now, okay, here's just my tooth's randomly going to break. Why? Because am I trying to do a thing? You know, what are we doing here? What is... I think the universe wants me to get more locked down on what I do want and figure that kind of shit out. Personally, I would like to be able to pay to get it fixed and not have to worry about anything else. But that's not where I'm at right now. So right now, great. Broken tooth. Yay. You know, and that goes right along with the freaking, like, I have a cap on one of my back teeth that popped off on Christmas Eve. Because that was the first chunk of time where I was expanding and then needed a break so I could kind of ground it in with, you know, really trying to become the person that I was now aware that I was capable of becoming, but not to the full extent yet. I mean, obviously I haven't gotten there yet, but it's like issue, mild annoyance issue to, you know, just to see if I, well, just to trigger, I think, the childhood trauma and that kind of bullshit. It's like, okay, yeah, that's obnoxious. Oh, well, as long as it's not, like, amplified through my elbow on my knee like it was in some videos, whatever. Yeah, it's just, like, something virtually trivial for where I'm going, but because it's been an ongoing issue in the past, universe just wants me to be like, hey, see this? How are you going to react now? Based on the ways you have grown, how are you going to react to this minor inconvenience? You know, and okay, so I said this is something that's happened before. Okay, so when I was an undergrad, yeah, it was like my sophomore year, because I was still living in the dorms, and I was trying to be good, and I was brushing and flossing my teeth before bed one night, and like it was like if you divide my tooth that way, it was like the whole front quarter of it just broke off. And I cried. And I was trying really hard for a few days not to be in anybody's pictures, which did not go well because it was like the last little bit of school too. Yeah, but I cried when that happened. And because it was so traumatic back then, you know, and okay. This is the thing. I'm trying to figure out how it fits into what I was just talking about. Oh, the voice thing. You know, when I got my TBI, that whole thing came up, and I realized later it was a sort of reset for me, because I was so stubborn and hard-headed about not wanting to use my voice that then when I'm going to seminary and for my freaking master's degree, if I wanted to pass that at all, I had to start talking to people because I was not making very good connections, you know, and like, okay, I found out shortly afterwards, the neurologist that I followed up with several months later, after I fell at my annual training with my guard unit and humiliated myself, you know, then I was like, okay, I need to figure out what's going on. So then I got in contact with the neurologist, got referred to him, all this stuff, all this fun stuff, right? So go to the neurologist, get all this testing done. And it's like overnight testing and all sorts of fun stuff. And he says, you know, when I went back for the follow-up after all these tests, he said, how's work going? And I was like, well, I'm kind of in between jobs at that moment. I said, but I am you know, am going for my master's degree. He's like, how's that working out for you? It's like, not good, actually. You know, and he said that what was happening was that, you know, it was like I was having all these little seizures, basically. And it's like, not big seizures. Like, I most of the time wasn't aware of it. And so I was like, oh, so like when I'm in the middle of talking to somebody, my brain just cuts off like I got the hiccups. That's that. And he's like, that's a good way to look at it. It's like, well, that's how it feels. My brain gets the hiccups. You know, and okay, I had a neurologist in Alabama do way less testing and claim that that's not a thing anymore, so I got cleared of it. But I don't know, my brain still feels hiccupy sometimes. And I know y'all have seen me probably several times in this video alone, or just stop and processing. Yeah, so that's a thing. But anyway, the TBI was like a reset because I had to start speaking up. And, you know, just all the little things that have come up. It's like, is this enough of an issue for you to continue speaking up, or you want to revert back to old habits? And I see that, and I know that's what is happening. Oh, it's so frustrating. Stupid tooth. You know, and it's just stupid shit. Anyway, I'm going to go back home so I can have somebody ask me where I've been for the past however long I've been gone. I'm at 51 minutes on this video, so at least an hour. No, way more than that, because I was in line for at the ice cream shop for probably 25 minutes. Worth it. Still haven't finished my slushie. I will get there. But I'm going to call it here, because I feel like this went a lot better than it might have even ended up with the last one, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, as always, I appreciate you, and until the next time, see you later.